안녕하세요. 오늘은 여러분들에게 정말 충격적이면서도 여러분들이 꼭 알아야 하는 내용이 담긴 영상을 가지고 왔습니다. 이 영상은 어린 시절 때 정말 끔찍한 그런 경험을, 그런 의례적 폭력을 당한 그런 생존자들이 이제 자신들의 경험을 이야기하는 그런 증언 내용이 담긴 영상입니다. 이 영상은 정말로 그 증거를 기반으로 한 매우 전문적인 채널의 영상입니다. 그래서 이 영상을 보시면서 아마 이 내용을 정말 믿기지 않을 수도 있습니다. 정말 거짓말처럼 들릴 수도 있습니다. 하지만 이 내용들에 대해서 한 번쯤은 꼭 들어야 하는 거고, 정말로 이제 진심으로 마음을 열어서 이 증언 내용을 듣는다면 이분들이 거짓말을 치는 게 아니라는 거 여러분들이 느끼실 겁니다.
Did the witnesses do things themselves under other people's influence?
Evelyn from Switzerland had to cut human flesh in the kitchen of a church. Several female witnesses from the USA were trained as assassins under the influence of others. The witness Anneke from Belgium was trained as bait for child rapists. The men were later filmed abusing children in order to make them vulnerable to blackmail. Most young children did not survive sex with these men. The Swiss woman Karen reports that she had to cut off the penises of 20 to 30 Vietnamese refugee boys with the initial help of the perpetrators. The further details of this satanic ritual are so unimaginably cruel that we will not go into it anymore here. The boys all died afterwards. Doug from Australia tells how he had to kill a girl from the same age with a knife when he was 3 years old. One perpetrator guided his hand doing so. Chantal Frey from Switzerland was forced to kill a friend with a gun, who then died in agony before her eyes. Her father in the cult also forced her to kill her own sister. Thankfully, she survived the most serious injuries. Elisabeth Schäfer from Hesse and Lilly, also from the German-speaking realm, were forced to murder newborn babies. Laura from Bavaria was also forced to kill a baby still attached to the umbilical cord with a gun to her head. It was a satanic ritual murder, as she describes it. Hayes reports,
They wanted me to take a knife and to hurt one of the children. At the end, it was my grandfather holding my hands and killing this child.
Mary Sparrow from the USA reports something similar.
And then they told me I was given a knife and I was told, oh, I have to help kill the boy. And I refused. And they said to me, if you do not obey, we will continue to kill children in this way until you do. So I felt I had to help or else other children would die.
Philippa from New Zealand had to drink sacrificial blood and eat the victim's cooked flesh. After the ritual, she had to clean up everything perfectly and bury the dead on the grounds of the ritual site. Nina from Switzerland sometimes had to help dismember the bodies of the victims of ritual violence and then throw them into acid barrels. She says they have whole appliances in which they dispose of the children.
How do you get children to do such terrible things?
Most survivors speak of abuse and violence from an early age on. These include manipulation, psychological pressure, torture such as electric shocks and waterboarding, beatings and the use of violence, death threats, rape, confinement in cages, often for days without food or drink. The use of drugs has also been mentioned. And there's yet another way to get children to do things they would never actually do. The perpetrators put the children under massive pressure by threatening them with violence against beloved animals or people. This goes as far as killing beloved animals, or cruelly torturing or killing people close to them if the children don't do what the perpetrators tell them to do. The blame is then placed on the chosen child, according to the motto, "If you had obeyed, the child or animal would have been spared this suffering." This is repeated until the child finally obeys. Ellie Harrison, who herself suffered sexual abuse and violence from an early age on, summarizes the testimonies of many of the victims she has worked with as follows.
For me personally, just hearing these testimonies, some of the most awful things is realizing these toddlers are essentially trafficking victims. They've been raped by multiple adult perpetrators in their world whom they loved and trusted. I mean, these were their only protectors. The people charged with protecting and defending them were the very ones exploiting them and abusing them.
Which environment did the actions take place in?
As crime scenes, many survivors repeatedly mentioned church facilities, administration buildings, a novitiate, the churches themselves and the vaults below, as well as the sacristies. Military bases, some of them underground, for example MacDill Air Force Base, are described as crime scenes. Hospitals, such as the one in Lausanne or the Valley Forge Army Hospital in the USA, have played a role in rituals or mind control tortures time and again. Premises underneath US universities and colleges are also mentioned, as well as rooms under the ancient town Solothurn in Switzerland. In the USA, New Zealand and Australia, large remote estates are often described as crime scenes. Gloria Masters, for example, speaks of a large Masonic country estate in West Auckland, New Zealand.
Then we would be taken into the main chamber, and there we would be laid out in a ritualistic format, like a compass with points on it, and then the chanting would begin. So that was a typical example for me. That was a very common occurrence once a month at the Freemasons, and then other times throughout the year at specific events they would hold. So that would be more likely to be rural or out in the country.
In Europe, it tends to be castles and palaces that are repeatedly mentioned in the testimonies. The Wewelsburg and the castle in Heidelberg are often mentioned. Westminster Abbey and a tunnel system underneath are also mentioned by several survivors. A British Crown estate, as well, appears to play a major role in the satanic rituals. The Vatican and its underground facilities have been named several times as the scene of the crime. Swally, Max Lowen, and David had horrible experiences there. Villas, large magnificent houses and remote hunting lodges also play a role in the descriptions of the survivors of satanic ritual ceremonies and sacrifices.